Queen of Sheba came down to see King Solomon. She wanted to see what had been going on down there. For years, somewhere probably around 20 years or so, the Queen of Sheba had been watching things happen up where she lived. 700 miles or so, and in some cases 800 miles, that they had shipped cedar logs down from Lebanon. They'd carried juniper trees, and they'd carried gold of Ophir down. They'd carried ivory down. They'd carried all kind of precious things down there. They would bring them across the sea, and then they'd come into the port at Ezion-Geber, and then they'd load them up on camel trains and mule trains and pack them down for miles and miles and miles further, all the way down to where King Solomon was. And King Solomon's house set on a hill over here, and he built his palace on one hill, and he built the house of God on the next hill. And in between those two was the Kidron Valley, and the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and his house sat just a little bit lower than the house of God where it sat. Solomon built all that. It took him 7 years to build the temple. Took him 13 years to build his house, so somewhere around 20 years they've been ferrying that stuff down that river, down across the sea, out across the desert. And every time the Queen of Sheba asked him, "Where are you going with that lumber?" "Going down to see King Solomon." "Where are you going with that gold?" "We're going to King Solomon's place." "Where are you going with that ivory?" "We're going to King Solomon's." Man, I mean, mule train after mule train, camel train after camel train. "Where are you going with that juniper logs?" "We're going down there to Solomon's house. He's building a house." Man, you ought to see the place Solomon's building. After a while, he got the best of her, and she loaded up, got her a few things together, got her some gifts together, got all her people together. She said, "We're going to go down there and check this out." So he got down there where he was, and he showed her his house over here, showed her all about it, all the wonderful things about it, and then inside that house was lined with cedar, floors was cedar, the ceiling was cedar, and the walls was, and had big ivory columns and all. Then she said, "I want to see this temple that you built for your God." So he takes her right out his front door. Is a bridge, according to historians, that spanned all the way across that Kidron Valley. And they said they uncovered marble colonnades that had been built, solid marble, underneath that bridge to hold it up. In one place, I read one man said some of those was over 100 feet tall. Those big, huge marble columns that held that bridge up. On that bridge, according to history, said Solomon had peacocks up there that had tied and they'd strut those big, beautiful plumes of feathers up and down. Said he had caged apes up there. Those old apes would bellow and pound their chest. And that bridge started at Solomon's front door. And then it spanned all the way across that valley, pointing upward. And it came to a stop at the front door of God's house. Amen. Solomon wanted to make sure he had a good way to get from his place to God's place. And as she got over and looked at it all, and the Bible said in 2 Chronicles 9, I believe verse 4, she starts telling, she said, "The half hadn't been told me. I can't believe what I'm seeing down here." The inside of that temple was covered in gold. Over the top of all those beautiful cedar logs had been overlaid with beaten gold. Over the top of all of those other things, there was gold in there. She said, "Man, Solomon, I didn't know the half of it." And she said, "Your men servants are happy, and your maid servants are happy." And the Bible said there in the 4th verse, said when she saw the ascent by which Solomon went up to the house of the Lord. Amen. Oh, that Queen of Sheba, man, she marveled. She said, "This is something I never had seen before. A highway from my house to God's house." Praise God. I want to tell you, there is uncertainty in our world. There's chaos in our world. There's madness in our world. I will make sure I keep the bridge up between my house and God's house. Praise God. The Bible said in Hebrews 10 and 25, "That forsake not the assembling of yourselves," where? In your living room? No, sir. Out in the woods somewhere? No, sir. Somebody said, "Well, the church ain't closed, just a building." Listen, I'm telling you that just a building. And yes, it's just a building in one way. But brother, this is God's house. And there's something inside and he walked upwards to God's house. I'm telling you, it always is a path upward when you're on your way to connect with God. You never go down to see Him. You never go down to God's house. It's always an ascent to go up to the house of the Lord. Praise God. So we got that bridge there. Amen. Hebrews, the writer said, forsake not. And let your mind just reach out like the tentacles of an octopus and grab a hold of that word not. Forsake not the assembling of yourselves. Where? Together. Woo! Together. Well, I'm scared. Together. I'm afraid I'll get you a cough. Together. Forsake not the assembling of yourselves together, as the manner of some is. Are there some doing it? Yes. Am I doing it? Not hardly. I'm telling you, I want to make sure I can get to God's house. There's something in me Wednesday afternoon, and whether I'm in a revival or not, there's something in me that begins to stir. I know it's church night. Amen. Not a drudgery. It's not an old somebody's can't hardly bring myself to do. I know I'm fixing to go to God's house. It's not just another brick building on the highway. It's none other than the house of the Lord. It's the place where the man of God tells me what thus saith the Lord. It's the place where the Holy Ghost speaks. It's the place I clasp that hands with those of like precious faith. Amen, brother, in a changing hour, in a turbulent time. Amen, keep your bridge in good repair. Amen, make sure you've got an access from your front door to God's house. I need to be there in the hour of trouble. Take me to the house of the Lord. Woo! Hallelujah. Yeah, somebody said, well, I haven't forsook anything. I'm just quitting for a month. Amen. I looked up what Webster said. He said to forsake it. He said, I haven't forsook it. It said to withdraw, even for a season. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I tell you, when I'm needing Him to touch me, I'm needing Him to move for me, I don't want any obstructions in the way. I want Him there right now. I want Him there yesterday sometimes. I tell you, when I want God, I want Him now. And brother and sister, when it's church time, it's time to get up, gird up the loins of your mind, and go to God's house. Why? I need that communion with Him. Somebody said, well, He can talk to us here, He can talk to us there. God can move in the job. I understand all that. Amen. But let's all be honest Christians, mature Christians. Let's act like adults and not third graders. And let's be honest. I'm telling you, there's no feeling like they're feeling when you're in the house of the Lord. And all of a sudden, the presence of God begins to enter into the place. I mean, there's something special about that. I can FaceTime my mama. I can talk to my mama on Marco Polo. I can go Facebook Live. I can talk to her on the telephone. I can send her a text with a heart emoji or a kissy face. But there ain't nothing like walking in my mama's house. There's a smell that goes with that. There's an atmosphere that goes with that. Amen. Yeah, I can talk to her on FaceTime. And brother, Steve, I can see the wallpaper. I can see what's sitting on the shelf. But it ain't the same as walking in that house. Amen. There's something different about it. Yes, God can talk to me in my vehicle. Amen. God talked to me this morning. But brother, there's nothing like it. When the song begins to go out, when the saints begin to worship God, there's a reason why that we have a designated house of worship. There's a reason why the founding fathers built the meeting house first. Amen. They're trying to show somebody that the most important thing in my life is the house of God. It's not secondary. It's not job first and Jesus second. It's not family time first and Jesus second. I'm telling you, it's God. Every morning, every time, every evening, it's God first. go bankrupt spiritually is because they put everything else in front of God's house. We go to church, we go to revival, we go to youth services, we go to camp meeting if there's nothing else needs doing. Hallelujah. So you're an evangelist, you got to preach like that. I'm going to tell you something. I ain't just started preaching this way. I didn't just get this idea. I've been living this way since my dad come in on Thursday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, soaked down with sweat, bundled up in coats, out delivering mail in the rain, in the snow, windshields, I believe he said one time 40 below. Amen. Heat index was up in the 110s. And Dad out walking the street, carrying that heavy bag of mail. I never met him at the door on Thursday night and said, Dad, are we going to church tonight? Amen. Mama had him something made to eat, and he'd come in and getting ready. Amen. Maybe had to wring the sweat out of his clothes. But we went to God's house. Oh, you hear me? When the singing started, we stood up and worshiped God. When the preacher got happy, Daddy'd stand up. He'd stand on this leg a while. He'd stand on this leg a while. He might have to lean over a little bit. Maybe he might have to stand crooked for a while. I'll tell you, he stood up. So you know what I done? I stood up. Sunday evening, he cut the nap short. Why? Because we go to church an hour early. We have prayer meeting. And the men go over here in this room, and the women go back in the nursery, and we pray until time for church to start. And Daddy set me down beside him and said, don't make a sound. And Daddy prayed till church time. You know what I done when I got old enough? I started going on my own. Where I got my driver's license, I rode with my grandmother because she went an hour early every night. I said, I want to go pray in the prayer room. You know why? Amen. Somebody instilled in me, you need a bridge from your front door to God's front door. Amen. You're going to need God. Going to need His power. Going to need His Spirit. And you got to be faithful. And Daddy didn't get off work on Saturday but once a month. And Saturday rolled around. Yeah, the yard might not have got all the way done. Amen. Might have had hay to bale. Might have had hay to carry. Them square bales and all. We might have had work that needed done. Church time Saturday. And then Dad went to getting in there and getting ready. And we went to God's house on Saturday night. Come on here. You want Him to have a good highway from His door to your door when the baby's sick, when your job fails, when you get laid off, when you get a virus, when you get a problem, when your mind's perplexed, when you don't know what to do about life, when the grandkids don't do right, when your wayward husband ain't doing right, when your wayward companion ain't right, when your wayward son ain't right. We want God to make a highway from my house to His house. I'll tell you, who built the highway was Solomon. And it was a way for him to go. But I'm telling you, it's a way for God to get to him. Don't let the devil trap you into forsaking the house of the Lord. Don't ever let it be secondary. You say, it's just us. It's just midweek service night. You never know. I've been to my mom and daddy's house before, Brother Steve, when they wasn't home. But it was still their house. It still smelled like it did when they was there. It still had that same odor of apple, pumpkin spice, and apple slices, and all that potpourri and stuff that Mama has in there. It smelled like it. It looked like it. Amen. The cookie jar was still full. Amen. The little jar in the pantry in the utility room is still full of Hershey Kisses and Reese's Cups. Even though Mama wasn't there, what are you telling me? I'm telling you, you ain't going to shout every time you come in here, but it's still God's house. You ain't going to run out every time you come, but it's still God's house. Oh, brother, there's been a few times I pulled in. And before I ever got out of the car, Brother Jody, I can tell Mama's home now. I may not see her car there. I can tell Mama's cooking inside that house. And brother, I got in there and I'm telling you, she had a table spread. I'm telling you, there may be times you come in here and it's just us chickens. There may be times you come in here and it's dry and it's slow. And Brother Jerry don't sing a lick. Brother Steve can't preach his way out of a wet paper sack. But it's still God's house. But you don't know what night it's going to be. And Jesus has a table spread. For the saints of God are fed. And He invites His chosen people coming down. I'm telling you, God's been here ever that bridge. This old boy's serious about church. Oh, praise God. There's a church hundreds of miles from here. I'm going to quit. Praise God. So you ain't preaching very good. Well, here's the thing. I hadn't read a text. So you can't technically fail if you hadn't read a text. You can't really judge me. I hadn't had a title yet. Praise God, this ain't my first rodeo. I'm going to get out of your way, but look here. There's a church hundreds of miles away, and a phone went off in church. You know how we do. We slide it over under Sister Erlene's purse, act like it's her phone. She knows that ain't her ring. She kicks it back under the pew to Brother TJ. He knows that ain't his ring. And nobody, you ever notice, I mean, you're out in the store, it's like being a kid quick drawing a 6-shooter when a phone goes off. And then people jerking things out and go looking at it. But you get in church, nobody's phone's ringing. It may be ringing, but it ain't mine. Finally, the old retired pastor sitting back where Brother TJ is, turned around, stood up, and pointed at that woman. He said, "Answer that!" She was looking around like, "Who, me?" He said, "You know that's yours, and we do too." And he said, "The reason your kids call you like this during church is you've been so unfaithful, they never know if you're here or home, and so they don't know if they're interrupting anything or not." Don't you love your pastor right now? He's retired. That guy was retired. There may be a reason for that. He said, "Answer that phone." She answered it. You know what the conversation was like? "I'm in church. I can't talk right now." You know what they said? "Oh, sorry, I didn't know." And she slid it off. He said, turned around, looked at the pastor who told me. He said, "I was standing there dumbfounded. I didn't know what to do." He said, old pastor looked at him. He said, "Son, you can move along with the service now. I believe we made the point." I'm telling you, your neighbor knows about your ascent to God's house. Your lost family knows about your ascent to God's house. They know if that bridge is in good repair or not. You got an old peacock up there with one feather and half of his wing cut off, or you got a pretty one on your bridge to God's house. They know. They know. One man shouted when his house got broke into on service night. Somebody said, "Why'd you shout?" He said, "I'm glad that them thieves knew I was at church, and they knew that I wasn't home with my shotgun. They knew it was church night. That's how come they robbed me. They've been watching me, and they knew I went to church." You know how they trapped Daniel? They knew he was going to pray at a certain time every day. You know how they knew Solomon went to church, had a bridge, and went to God's house. Listen, we're in a troubled time. I don't want to catch anything. I don't want you to catch anything. But I need to catch a word from God. And listen, I ain't boasting. I speak as a fool. But the Holy Ghost spoke here tonight. Amen. Last night, rather. And he said, "I'm going to deliver. I'm going to bring you out with a high hand." He said, "Don't fight the battle. I'm going to take care of it." You may not have needed that, but I did. I wanted to hear from him. Listen, don't forsake his house. Woo! Praise God. We're not out tonight. Who knows what's fixing to happen? Hey, God, I feel a little bit like running, a little bit like shouting, a little bit like jumping, a little bit like preaching, a little bit like praying. Praise God. How's that bridge look? Can you get there? That'd be like trying to get from our house to my wife's sister's house in Priam, Arkansas. There's just no way to get there from here. Have you ever been to that church? There's no way to get there from here. There's too many curves, too many hooks, too many crooks. You can't get there from here. I'm telling you, it's a straight shot to God's house right here tonight. Hallelujah. I believe his front door is open. Glory to God. I believe he opened his windows up last night. And he opened his doors up too. I could smell the aroma of heaven's bread baking in the oven. I could hear the angels singing last night. And every once in a while, come on. Oh. I like going to Mom and Daddy's house at night. Their little sunroom off the kitchen used to be the back porch. Got windows all the way around it, and they keep the shades open. Pull in there at night, and I can see Mama in there. I see Daddy in there. See Mama scooting around in her duster, her hair in rollers, you know. I can see her going over and look in the oven. Maybe she got some pumpkin bread in there baking for her and Daddy. I see Daddy sitting over there in his rocking chair, reading Fox News on the computer, finding something else to worry about so he can text me and tell me what's happening in the world. Come on here now. I like to look in there. There's some they don't bless you because that's your mama's house, but you know what I'm talking about because you got a mama. Don't you? I told my sister we found her under a rock in the backside of the pasture while we was walking one day, and we just took her home with us. But everybody's got a mama. Well, there's something awesome about looking in the window. I used to like to go up to my grandma's house and look in her window before I went in for a minute and watch her sitting in that chair in a big moo-moo with that big old high Vesco Goodman hairdo, wiggling her foot over the other and with her pink floppy house shoes on, rocking crossword puzzles. That don't sound very impressive to you, does it? That ain't your grandma. That's the reason why. But I like that, brother. I like to look in there and see her. I could look in the window last night. I saw him. I saw him. I caught a glimpse or two of him through them blinds tonight, right here in this service. Brother Howard got testifying a while ago. I smelled bread on Heaven's bakery. That wasn't Hope's bakery. That's God's bakery I smelled. Brother Howard raised his hand and said, woo! And you know what? I could look through the blinds right there and I saw God sitting in his chair, watching over his children. I saw him cooking up a miracle to dump out on somebody. I saw him cooking up an answer to your prayer. Seems like I've seen him call an angel over and tell him, you fly down there and you tell them that I've heard their prayer and I'm fixing to move for them. Amen. Listen, I'm telling you, the window's open on God's house tonight. The door's open on God's house tonight. I'd like to struck out of my front door and head across the bridge and tell him, hey, is anybody home in there? Hallelujah. I ride my horse up to my grandma's late in the evening time. Go home from school, saddle old Prince up, go down to the end of the driveway, meet my cousin. He'd be on old Babe. Oh, we'd kick Babe and Prince out, and across the field we'd go. Down the dirt road, we'd go up Grandma's driveway as fast as them old horses could run. We'd slide them in her yard, and we'd holler. You know, we was always reading Lewis and Moore books, and so we was the Sacketts in those moments of life, you know. We didn't stop when we was 10 either. You know, every once in a while I'm still Tyrell or somebody. But we went over to Grandma's house. We'd ride up in the yard and we'd holler, hello, the house. She'd say, don't you skid them horses in my yard and tear my grass up, boys. That screen door would be shut, the big door open. Look in there and see her. And she'd say that kind of grouchy. But boy, she'd have a big smile on. So boys, I got a brand new package of Chewy Chips Ahoy in there in them Hoot Owl cookie jars. Once you boys come in and have some cookies. Since you twisted my arm that way, son, I'm telling you, I tie old Prince up to the porch post and I'd eat cookies. I tell you what some of you need to do. You need to put the spurs to Prince and Babe. You need to run on down the driveway and slide in. Run through God's screen door. Scoot up to his Hoot Owl cookie jar. Get you a... Woo, I'll tell you what, if Jerry Clower would have had that, he said, oh! Had a cookie jar, yes, sir. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe your grandma didn't have a Hoot Owl cookie jar, but I'm telling you what. I come in here this week and I'm hearing all the bad stuff on the news and all the bad stuff on social media, all the turmoil. And I slide in here and hear somebody get started singing about what a wonderful Savior I have. Amen. Or Jesus on the main line, or some of those songs we've been singing. And man, there's an atmosphere begins to change about it. And all of a sudden I feel like I'm in God's cookie jar. Praise God. Let's stand tonight. Woo. We hadn't read no scripture, so if you need a refund, get with Brother Steve or the deacons. Since I didn't preach to you, I don't want to shortchange you. Man, I'm telling you, God's been right here tonight. He was right here last night. I felt like he had a table spread last night. And some of us walked up and looked at it and said, man, don't that look good? And we just slid on out of here. Praise God. Won't you belly up there and get you something? If you go down there at Holt's and Brother Alex or Brother Howard, one of them ladies in there tells you, come back here behind the counter and just get whatever you want. You ain't just going to stand around there and gulp at it. I'm telling you what, folks, I'm fixing to have something in each hand. You open them bakery doors up and tell me to help myself? Oh, yeah. I'm going to be glad for the hidden waistband. I'm not just going to stand there and say, well, I appreciate that. We went down there yesterday and ate lunch. And that woman asked me what kind of meat I wanted. I didn't just stand there and look at her like a cat had my tongue. I said, ham. Didn't bother me. Come on here. Well, we'll do that when it's Holt's Bakery. Go down there to Hutto's and Brother David and them put that barbecue out there, cook you a steak or something. Go down to Brother Brad's and he set a big plate of catfish out there and he said, well, I appreciate it. I just want to be humble, though. I don't want to, not hardly, pal. I'm fixing to eat. I didn't get this way being humble at dinner time. But we'll go to church, though. We won't do that at Holt's and Hutto's and everywhere else. But we'll go to church and say, well, I didn't want to be out in the front, I didn't want to have to be first. I've heard folks say, well, I didn't want to get anybody's blessing. Don't you think God's got enough to go around? Huh? Don't you reckon God's got enough to go around? So we may empty the cookie jar. I had no sense to know Grandma bought in bulk. If I emptied that cookie jar, she had another pack in that cabinet right above it. And if we run out of that, she'd have something else. And if she didn't have nothing, she still knew how to cook them things. Some of you come in here tonight and your spiritual belly's just rumbling. And you really need a good old-fashioned blessing from the Lord. You really need to poke Him into your situation and realize He's beautiful for my situation. Won't you just cross the bridge tonight? Come on in here to God's house. What do you say? I mean, here we all are. What'd be wrong with shouting a little bit before you went home tonight? That wouldn't be so bad, would it? That wouldn't be so bad, would it? I mean, if Sister Jenny was up here giving up free root canals and had her dental chair up here, I could see y'all sitting there kind of looking like you are. I mean, that is something you want every day. I was sure glad to get one the other day, but I didn't want it. I had to have it. I'm not trying to get you to voluntarily have a root canal or an appendectomy or something. I'm telling you, here we are in God's house. All of us in here and the good Holy Ghost that's been here tonight. Why don't we just act like we don't have any better sense and just worship God right here? Some of you stand on the other side of the bridge looking over and you can smell it, you can see it, you can even hear it. I want you just to ease across that bridge and say, I believe I will. I believe I will. Come on now. When she saw his ascent, she said, he's got something I ain't got. And I want to leave here